But speaking of greatness, man, I just want to touch on some of these right now, man, because um, this is crazy, man. The NBA right now, and E, this is for you, man. The Boston Celtics, this 24-25 NBA team, the Boston Celtics are clearly the front runner, the favorites, whatever you want to call it. But have you ever seen a team that has won a championship come out with such a focus as the Boston Celtics had this year?
You know, in 08-09, they started the season 27-2. And then obviously Kevin gets hurt in February in Utah, and they still end up winning 62 games. They have the series against the Bulls that we talked about earlier, and then they eventually lose to Orlando in 7, where they were out of gas. I say that to say it is so rare to see a team come out with this focus, with absolutely no championship hangover whatsoever. And I think there's something very special that continues to happen there. It's organizational, it's coaching staff, it's brotherhood between the players. And, the best thing that could have happened was Tatum not playing a lot in the Olympics and having all that stuff come with it. The best thing that could have happened was Jalen and having his question mark around it and that chip that sits on his shoulder. And, the other thing that I think people forget about where we are right now to start the season as opposed to where we were last year to start the season. Last year when they started the season, they were getting over the disappointment of losing that game 7 to Miami at home, not making history. They were they had just made the Holiday trade because the Porzingis for Smart trade happened draft week. The Holiday trade didn't happen until a few days before. It was in training camp, I believe, because that happened right after the Lillard deal. So now you have a much more comfortable Holiday. They also had to get over, maybe get over is not the right word. They had to process who they were going to be without their spirit animal. Marcus Smart was the spirit animal of the Celtics. And everybody had to grow into who they were going to be without him. Now that produced an incredible season. It was a championship. But now with Holiday really comfortable, Tatum looks like he's reached a new level of greatness. Brown has picked up right where he's left off as the finals and conference finals MVP. And let's be honest, guys, the talent is very, very high, but they play the right way. And they play the right way literally all the time. And the scary part about this is Kristaps Porzingis is still in street clothes. And Derek White continues to get better. Like I've watched, opening night, I was there, and I can share some behind the scenes stuff, as that was surreal for me as a storyteller and a lifelong Celtics fan. But like, I couldn't sit and watch the whole game. Like, I was keeping an eye on it. I was bouncing around. They obviously made 29 threes. But I watched last night, as we're recording this on Tuesday, October 29th. So I watched the win against the Bucks, and I watched the Detroit game, and I'm forgetting who they beat for their second win. But this team is a well-oiled machine. And to bring back literally the same exact team, and everybody's healthy besides Porzingis, and another role player that I'm excited about is Xavier Tillman, and they acquired him last year in the middle of the season from Memphis for insurance up front, and now he's playing a role. And I'm sorry, Sam Hauser's been out as well, who's one of the best 3-point shooters in basketball. So I say that all to say, like, it's a special group. They're playing elite level basketball, and there's some very special focus and togetherness there. And this window is here now to create. I'm not going to say creating a dynasty is something you can't predict. It kind of just happens and evolves. But they have a window to win multiple championships, and do it in a very unique way. So it's really exciting to start the year like this.
Let me tell you, Will, I like Boston. I like what they've done. And remember I said, You just don't come into the league. I don't care how good you are. You have to take some lumps. Like you have to be so good that you get right there and it's right there and you lose. And that's what happened to him 2 years ago. So that's this past year, those guys, the key, Holiday, Al Horford, Porzingis coming back. They're so jailed now. They going back to the Eastern Conference Finals. Don't know who they gonna play, but as I look at them right now, they are on the verge of getting to.
Well, here's the thing: the basketball world gave them a common enemy, so I think they were able to rally around that. Because if you think about it, E, you just talked about it. When they lost to the Miami Heat, they were not supposed to lose.
Nope.
Because remember, they had gotten over the hump the previous
This
year, and
year.
even really the previous that round before that. You know, when Jason Tatum stepped into his greatness and he took down Kevin Durant, everybody said, okay, they're ready. But that loss, I think it could have crushed them. But somehow they figured that thing out. So I agree with you. When the Olympics happened and Jaylen Brown didn't get chosen and Jason Tatum didn't get that much playing time, and then you bring in one of their teammates, they said it's us against everybody else. They're trying to dismantle us from the inside out, and they took it personal. And I love the way. I mean, they coming out. This is like the first 4 games, and they're like, "Listen, we're coming to beat you up. Like we're putting our foot on your neck.
Yep.
We got our foot on the pedal. I mean, this is the way that they're playing, man. So I love what the Boston Celtics are doing right now. But let me tell you what I love is playing some great basketball right now.
Real quick, William, while just to wrap up this point, like they know what they're a part of. And when I say that, I mean this Celtics tradition and brotherhood and lore. And if you're a Celtic hater out there listening to this, or you just don't think it's a big deal, like it's a big deal and it matters. And it matters to not just people in Boston. It matters to anybody that's ever worn that uniform. It matters. The Celtics are one of those teams. Obviously, the Bulls became one of them. The Celtics, the Lakers, the Cowboys, the Yankees. They have fans globally. Yeah. It's not just about where the team is from. It's about the fabric of that tradition.
Yep.
And Tuesday night, guys, I'm in a room with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, which is like normal for me, which is how surreal my life journey has been, right? But then Ray Allen walks in the room. And then Cedric Maxwell walks in the room. And then in a wheelchair, Bob Cousy is brought into the room.
Oh my God.
And the trophy is brought in. And, I try to stay out of the way. We're capturing our shots. The Celtics are incredibly gracious with us as we work with Paul and Kevin, and we do these different content things for their shows. And I'm just standing off to the side. And I make sure to take a deep breath and just take it in. Yeah. And these generations of greatness, and it matters. And it matters to represent that. And, before we went into the arena, we did a live audience show with Kevin, Paul, Brian Scalabrine, who comes in and plays co-host and does such a great job, and of course Eddie,
love
the
Brian.
White Mamba, and of course Eddie House, who has become one of my favorite people to be around and listen to, talking not just basketball but all sports, and to take a step back in a packed room, and in the room is Bill Russell's daughter, Bill Russell's son, Chuck Cooper's grandson.
What?
And to have a moment like that, and it's all tied back to what it means to be a Celtic, and now Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Al Horford and Drew Holiday and Derek White and the rest of them, they're all in. Coach Mazzulla's all in. At the parade last year, Coach Mazzulla's T-shirt, you've seen me with the prints on my T-shirt, and obviously I showed you the Dream Team earlier. I have tons of others, and I got extra Celtic stuff just to bother Arthur for later. But Coach Mazzulla is wearing a T-shirt of Red Auerbach and Bill Russell celebrating in the locker room.
Wow.
And I said, Coach, that's a shirt that I don't have yet, and I got 2 drawers full of these. And he just smiled and nodded, and like the connection is there, and it's a beautiful thing. And yes, what happens between the lines is ultimately what it's you're judged upon. But the way they represent the organization and what the organization stands for and the history is incredible. So I just wanted to share that.
Beautiful.
Because to live that in real time now in 2024, 25, and obviously with the championship last year, it's going to be a special year, and it's going to be really interesting to see who these other teams are that can emerge to push them, because somebody's going to. It's just a question of who and when.
Yep.
Well, I think that just goes to the Celtics front office too. They have made all the right moves to build this team to where it's at right now. You go back to early when Danny Ainge was running the team, and people thought, man, he getting all these draft picks, and what is he doing? And what is going? Man, they saw a future where they said, we're building for longevity, and then going. I mean, they have just done all the right moves to be successful. But what I really admire about the Celtics, man, they have not let, how the best way can I say this? They haven't allowed the money or those other things to get in the way of the game. I mean, because they're paying a lot of money to their superstar.
The main thing is remain the main thing.
Absolutely.
That's the most important thing. Absolutely.
Basketball has been the focal point, and it continues to be the focal point out there, man. So I agree with you and shout out Al Horford one more time.
Yes.
Come on, man.
Yes.
Uncle Al.
Love Al.
Hey, man, he's still, they keep talking about LeBron's longevity. I mean, listen, Al's sitting right there. I mean, let's be honest. He ain't a spring chicken either. So the fact that he is the starting center for an NBA championship team and still contributing in a very impactful way, man, this is amazing. This is amazing. So I love what the Celtics is doing, man.
For Brad Stevens to be able to bring him back, and as Celtics fans, we're very emotional people, and
you are.
When someone leaves us, it's like, oh, you're leaving our family. Okay, don't ever come back. You're not welcome back. And for Brad to know that Al still had gas in the tank, and I'm sure, and Al has said this. He says, I realized I was supposed to be in Boston. So Al actually was brilliant. He went and took Philadelphia's money, then basically had a year and a half where he was almost off, saving his body, ends up in Oklahoma City not playing, and then Brad's able to bring him back. And I just want to say one more thing, Arthur. You said this perfectly about having your heart broken on the way to the top. Brad Stevens said this post-game, I believe Game 5 after they won it last year. He said, I'd rather have my guts ripped out every year and not get there than not even be in position to compete for it. And when you lose and you have those heartbreaks and then you start to climb the mountain again, it just makes you want it more. And you go through that stuff as a team, and you go through those emotions, and you go through the skepticism from the media and all these Celtic bashers saying they were never going to get it done, and they should have traded Brown and Tatum, or they couldn't play together. And everybody wants this microwave success. And if you know anything about the history of the game, that rarely happens. And to see this grow together this way, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful that Arthur made me a Celtics green custom Hoop Dreams hoodie. That's how beautiful it is.
Oh my God!
My man.
Hey, man, let me tell you something. I had my heart ripped out in Boston Garden with the Detroit Pistons. So you guys did it to us. We had to pass it on to Michael Jordan and rip his damn heart out. And then he gave it back to us and ripped our heart out. So I know that feeling of, I was right there. Okay, well, next year, that's all I'm thinking about. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't want to speak to my wife. I don't talk to my kids. It's all basketball.
You two guys are cracking me up, man. Two guys who live in two different cities supporting teams.
Hey, man.
That ain't even in y'all city.
Hey,
Am I the only dude here who supports his home team. I mean, what's going on, man?
I took mercy on Arthur the other night. I was gonna hit him up after the Celtic win in Detroit, but
Oh my God,
I knew we were doing this. I knew we were doing this, and I'm gonna ruin it. But yeah, it's another beautiful part of this game and going through the battles, and you eventually come out on the other side a winner if you're lucky.
Absolutely.
Hey, Will,
Absolutely.
I caught this the other night. Too. I think the first two of the Celtics games, the Celtics fans want the ball in Peyton Pritchard's hands when that quarter is finna wind down. Like every time he gets the ball, and they want him to launch it, baby.
Well, he launched it the other day because he had a spectacular game.
Eight threes.
I mean, that was just insane. I mean, listen, this team, man, they need to sell it, whatever it is, put it in a bottle, let other teams drink it because they figured it out. So if I'm a GM, I'm looking at it, I'm watching it. But listen, guys, we could go on here forever, but I want us to keep moving. We got to talk about because I know your time is getting short, but AD and the Lakers, they too are playing incredible basketball. I didn't see this here.